Hello, today I will be looking at the TOU 5-star 28mm f2.8 manual focus lens. The TOU in this name stands for TOU Optics USA. TOU Optics was a company in Japan, and this lens was made from 1967 to sometime around the 80s when the company changed its focus to video lenses. The name TOU is derived from a Japanese word which means Oriental, or literally Eastern Ocean. In doing some research for this video, I was poking around on eBay and found a version of this lens for about $20 with a Nikon F mount. This one happens to have a Pentax PK mount, but apparently this lens was made and sold with all sorts of different mounts. You could get them with Canon FD mounts, Pentax K mounts, Minolta SR, MD, MC, and also I saw one in a Nikon format. I also found one on eBay that was selling for $35 that they were selling it with a Canon adapter. As with all these old manual focus lenses, you can always go to B&H Photo or Amazon and buy an adapter like this for whatever the lens is to whatever camera you have. So you can adapt any lens to any camera body. You just have to buy a $15 adapter for whatever camera you have and whatever lens you have. Onto the physical characteristics of this lens. It is a wide-angle lens, and the front element of the lens, you can see that in the overhead, is kind of domed, and that will become important later. The focus, though, is nice and smooth, although it has kind of little bumps here and there, at least on this copy. And it goes for about 2/3 of a turn. So that's still pretty good, makes it fairly easy to nail your focus. The focus range goes from infinity, of course, down to 1 foot, and in fact has a macro setting that goes to macro of 1 to 5. I haven't actually tried the macro setting, but it's there. The aperture goes from f22 to f2.8 in half-stop increments. You can hear them click there. And the aperture itself has 6 blades, which I don't know if you can see that in the overhead camera, but there's 6 blades there. There are threads on the front for a 52mm filter, although it would be hard to get a filter on this one because it looks like it's been dented. Interesting. The person I bought these from was a collector. I'm sure he took better care of them than whoever he got them from. And the lens weighs 7.8 ounces, or about 220 grams. Now on to some test charts. Here's the test chart that I've been using. And at f2.8, we can see in the center it's nice and sharp, and there's no chromatic aberration. And in the corners, there's some chromatic aberration, but not much, and it's surprisingly sharp for f2.8 in the corners. In the center, at f8, there's not much difference. It's still nice and sharp, and there's no chromatic aberration. And the corners are even sharper than they were at f2.8, which you would expect, and about the same amount of chromatic aberration, which isn't a whole lot. Now if we go on to the distortion chart, you can see that there's some really bad distortion here. I don't really even need to zoom in to be able to see that, but I will anyway. This is almost fisheye-like. When taking these pictures, because this is a 28mm lens, in order to get the distortion chart to fill the entire frame, I had to have the camera about 2 feet away. As you get farther away, it's not as noticeable, but it's still there. Now we'll look at some sample photos from this lens. Here's some photos from the cemetery that I used for the last couple of videos. There's a bridge here by the pond, which from a distance makes a nice scene for a wide-angle lens like this. This is at f8 at 250th of a second. And because I thought this was interesting, here's some lens flare at f8 at 1/100th of a second. Here's the hands that I took pictures of before at f2.8. And again at f8. And then here's one that I haven't used in any of the other videos. There's a nice chapel in this cemetery, and here's what it looks like at f2.8 and again at f8. At 28mm, this is a nice lens for this kind of shot because you can get a lot of area in the shot. If I was using a 70mm or a 200mm lens on this, I would be tight in on the building itself and you wouldn't see the trees or anything around it. I found some other good sample images taken with one of these lenses on Flickr, and I'll post a link to that album in the description below. In conclusion, I really like this lens. I'm probably going to keep this one around, and the next time I'm out taking landscape type shots, I'll definitely pull this one out and use it. This is the widest angle lens that I personally own, and it works fairly well. The distortion it's there, but if you're taking a landscape shot, you probably don't care too much about that. If you're taking a close-up portrait, you probably would, but this isn't a portrait lens, so I wouldn't be too concerned about the distortion on it. So that was the TOU 5-star 28mm f2.8 manual focus lens. If you like this video, please click the like button, and if you would like to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and ring the bell icon so you'll get notified of future videos. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Here's some photos from that cemetery that I have used for the last couple of videos. If you like this video,